Are here. We are back. We have came from a hiatus and we are ready to come back full force, excited. This is the Empowered Morning Show. I'm here with my girl Natashah Khan. Natasha,
Good
how are you?
morning. I am well, a little tired, like we talked about before. But I am so happy to be here. The hiatus was good, but we are back in full force and ready to come back and give you guys a word. So, good morning and happy
Yes,
Tuesday.
exactly. On a Tuesday. So let me go ahead and say good morning, Miss Phyllis. It's good to see you this morning. She said, welcome back, everyone. Good morning, Miss Patricia. She says, welcome back. Let me tell y'all, we are glad to be back to see you say good morning, Tuesday morning, empowered women and men of God. It is super exciting to, have opportunities to rest, but it's also good to get back into the things that God has us on here for, because y'all know this is a faith-based platform. And so, we believe in God and we believe that, He leads us and guides us, lean not into your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge Him and He's going to
Amen.
take that path, right? So we trust Him to give us what we're talking about because hopefully it will help someone. It will um, give someone something to hold on to. Because, sometimes in life, things, don't always go the way that we want them to go. Sometimes, we may say, good morning, Cynthia. She said, screaming, welcome back. Yeah. Let me tell y'all, good morning, Cynthia Lewis. Let me tell y'all, this has been such an amazing time off. Well, while we were off, we did the Becoming Her experience in Gala. And Cynthia Lewis showed up and did her bag later performance, baby, and she shut it down. She did a phenomenal job. It was an amazing event. And I'm just glad, to see things happening and for all the women that are part of the her anthology. Shout out to you all. Y'all have been killing it on the interviews. I'm doing the Becoming Her series every Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And that's for 5 weeks total because it's 25 women plus myself. So that means we're
Yay.
going through the end of this month of interviews. And so just want to shout Cynthia out because, of course, she did an outstanding job. She's done her interview. Go back and check it out on my page because it was chock full of information. Her title was From Divorce to Healing to Finding Joy um,
Mm,
in
mm,
Myself,
mm, mm.
And I was just like, come on, Cynthia. She said, yes, the ladies are awesome, awesome, awesome. So, Natasha, we're going to get started for today. And I guess, one of the things that I've noticed is that there are a lot of high achieving women out in the world, and when we look at society, everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to be, doing things, but there are a lot of high achieving women that are in denial, meaning that they're successful from society's point of view, successful from outward appearances, but they're still suffering. They're
Mm.
still not healing like we talk about. Let's heal for real this time. So I guess when we think about it, it's like just because someone is successful doesn't mean they're totally healed. because some women have built empires on top of unprocessed pain. So, what can you take us on into that topic?
I can definitely take you onto that topic. Good morning, everyone. So let's put a disclaimer out there because this is going to lead into mental health and the severity of mental health. It's going to be a very sensitive subject. I'm going to probably say some things that may ruffle some feathers and hurt some feelings this morning.
Okay.
The intention isn't to hurt, the intention is to bring awareness, right? The more educated, the more aware we are about mental health,
Yeah.
then we have a personal responsibility to ourselves to do something about it or to do something different. Now, because we have an audience of empowered men and women, this isn't actually just about high achieving women, because we also have some very high achieving men out there in the
Yes.
world, because at a
For sure.
very early age, they were taught to not, have feelings or express their feelings. They had to
Mhm.
be responsible. They had to be the providers. They
Yes.
had to be the ones to go out there and make it in the world so that they can provide for their wives and their kids and their family and
Right.
all the things, right? So, what we're going to talk about today is applying to both the high achieving woman and the high achieving man.
Okay.
And I love what you said. Yes, if you look at celebrities today, how many of them and how many have passed as a result of mental health, right? They have the success from society's point of view. They
Mm-hmm.
have the homes, they have they have the wealth, right?
Yes.
But they
Yes.
don't have the health and they don't have the mental health.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is in our country where we focus on the exterior and how we look and getting the Botox and getting the tummy tucks and making sure we're muscular and making sure we're looking fit and all the things. But the one thing that we should be really focused on, which is our mental, and it's the one thing that in our lives, for many of us, we are not making a priority. So today we are going to get into giving you some descriptors of what denial looks like in a high achieving individual. And
Mm-hmm.
then we're going to get into how that denial it then leads into depression over time and how depression creeps up on us. And I think I've said this in a couple in our last season, that the same way you have we refer to as a functional alcoholic, you
Yes.
can have someone who has functional depression,
Yes.
right? They're
Yes.
walking around, they're looking fine, they're successful, they own businesses, they're living life and living large, but in the privacy of their mind, they are actually depressed. And we're going to get into some of those symptoms as well, because it's right. A lot of people say that the depression just creeps up on them. And in reality, it didn't creep up on you. There were noticeable signs that you
Mm-hmm.
were ignoring or choosing to be in denial of, because you're hoping that if I avoid it and if I just don't look at it, then it's not there.
Got
Right.
it. Got it.
But the reality is, my feelings toward any situation, my feelings toward any person, my feelings in general is not something that just vanishes. And I always think of a magic show when, when the smoke comes out and everything just
Right.
kind of
Right. Right.
disappears. I think that's what we think with our emotions, that as long as I'm not thinking about it, it goes away. And in reality, it doesn't. So, a couple of things I want to get into is what it looks like for high achieving men and women.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And Natasha, before you get in there, let me put a pin real quick. I want also people to understand we're using the phrase high achieving, and we're talking about, people who are top level doing things, but understand this: in all of us, there is some level of high achieving. You know what I'm saying? Um, and that can be whether you're retired and you're, doing your thing, and I want you to take this with a grain of salt and don't think that it doesn't apply to you because you don't feel like
mm,
you're at the top of the success level, or you're a CEO of a organization, or you are an entrepreneur or whatever. You can be high achieving, high functioning as a grandmother. You're the one that everybody comes to, and you're taking care of all the kids, or you're a caretaker. You have the same level of doing these same types of functions. So I don't want somebody to say, "Oh, she's not talking to me." Oh yeah, this ain't
I
about
like
me
that.
because I'm
Thank
not
you.
high achieving. Because high achieving is relative. Success is relative to, like they said, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Correct.
You may
Correct.
still be a high performing, high achieving person on a small scale, but everybody in your family, you're the go-to person that they depend on, they rely on, come to you for the advice or the assistance or whatever it is. So don't discount this information because you feel like, oh well, girl, they don't that ain't for me. It probably is.
Yeah, I love that, Angela. Let's throw in there overly functioning then. So you're high achieving, overly functioning. So if
Yes.
you
Okay.
don't think you don't fit in the category of high achieving, but you're still overly functioning in
Yes.
life, in
Good job.
any
Good. Good.
area
Good.
of your life. I really appreciate that because, again, we say something and the immediate thing is people go into these sort of categories. Oh, she's
Yeah.
not talking about you.
Oh, girl, that
That
ain't
doesn't.
me. Because when you talk about addiction, the first thing you said, girl, child, I'm not addicted to nothing, baby. I'm not taking no pills. I'm not. I'm
Uh-huh.
not doing any drugs. I'm not. And you don't realize that the addictions are throughout your entire life. There's something that you go to soothe your whatever. For me, it's Coca-Cola, babe. I get me a Coca-Cola and it makes me feel like everything
Lights
is
up
right
your
in my
world.
world and I can start doing what I need to do. So yes, it's always a grain of salt to apply to everybody in something.
Absolutely. Mental health is an addiction. And when you really get into acute mental health, we start talking about personality disorders. There's behavioral addictions. We're just uneducated,
Yeah,
uneducated. And that's why I
yeah.
love this platform and the show because we get the opportunity to bring the education. So, yeah, I do encourage everyone to have an open mind and an open heart.
Mhm.
And it's something that you can learn because what this comes down to when we talk about denial, we're talking about our avoidance to looking at the reality of something,
Yeah,
whatever it is. And we've all had a moment in our lives, each and every one of us, where something occurred in our lives that we really didn't want to look at, even right in that moment.
absolutely.
That usually typically comes with the death and the loss of somebody,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
in a divorce, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure Cynthia can relate to this because I'm a divorcee as well.
Me
Whether
too.
you want the divorce or not, right? The
Mm-hmm.
fact that you lost that, now you have to look at that pain.
Right,
And to look
right,
at that pain requires you to feel that pain.
right.
Who wants to
Exactly.
feel pain,
Who wants to
right?
feel pain? And even going back to that, who wants to take accountability? Because a
Mm,
lot of times we have things that happen in life, whether it's a divorce, and a lot of times you can put actions on somebody, but at the end of the day, it takes two. You got to be
absolutely.
accountable for your part in what happens. You may not have played the main character, but you were a supporting actress or actor.
Mm.
You got to think about it. When you get fired from a job, sometimes, it's not always, oh, they just have to get me. Sometimes, you were showing up late. You weren't doing you know what I'm saying? We have to take accountability for the contributing factors that
we
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 bring
always
in.
play a role, right? And whatever
Mhm.
the outcome is, there is a role. And I love when you say that because I'm sure we'll come back to this later. So as Angela said, this is a faith-based platform. We know God, we believe in God, we love God. How many of us will say, God, I'm praying and God will do this for me and God will do that for me and God will cover me, but you have to do your part. And that is something that
Right.
I remind my clients all the time, right? Yes, when you seek God, God will provide, but it requires you to take an actionable step. You're not just going to sit in your house and sip on some tea or coffee, a beverage of your choice, and just wait for God to just download it all or deliver it like the FedEx guy to your doorstep. That's not
Right.
the way that it works, right? There is work to be done in ourselves. There's characteristics, there's flaws, or defects of character that God needs to turn over in us, but we have to be aware of what that is in order to turn that over to God. And if you're in denial about your own reality, if you're in denial about your pain, then what are you really going to God with? Right? So when we're looking
Exactly.
at these high achieving women or men or over functioning, one of the characteristics is performing instead of processing, right?
Mm,
Those of us who tend to perform, who want to avoid the pain, tend to become overperformers, right? We're
mm.
always productive, we're always accomplishing, and we're never slowing down long enough to feel our feelings.
That's
We,
good. And we know a lot of people who do that. They always just bounce, bounce, bounce to something. And boom, 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 you're doing. Or
yep.
you're always in go mode.
And the
Always
reason
in
why
go mode.
the reason why you're always in go mode is If I'm busy and staying distracted, there will be no time in my day for me to have to think about the way I'm feeling.
Exactly.
Right? So the
Exactly.
distractions, the busyness, the I got to do this and I got to do that. And oh my gosh, it's a long day and I can't get to this and I can't get to that. And here's what that leads into. Now, this is the one that's going to sting a little bit. The reason why that we're always being productive and accomplishing and never slowing down is because we want to feel needed.
Oh,
Huh?
oh, that's
Uh,
a gut punch right there,
right?
Natasha, because the need to feel valuable to somebody,
It's a drug of its
it's
own.
like a drug. It's
Uh-huh.
like a drug.
Yes,
When
ma'am.
people feel like, you know how they say Captain Saver, everybody wants to go out and save somebody. They want to be, needed. They want you to calm them. They want to fix everything. They want to, be the one, the go-to guru that
Mhm.
everybody can come to, because there's a void in you somewhere that this
Correct.
need, being needed, fixing everyone, feels that void for
When
you.
you talked about drinking that Coca-Cola and how it just kind of lights you up on the inside,
Hmm.
that's what doing for other people does for an individual. So I'm going to go ahead and deny my feelings, and I'm going to go over here and stay busy overachieving and overly functioning and overperforming and keeping myself busy because this makes me feel better about myself, right? So
Even when you're in you know what, it makes me think, Natasha, when they say you need to fill your own cup before you pour into somebody else. But
mhm,
9 times out of 10, for a lot of people, your cup is empty. You're exhausted, but you're still showing up for everybody else. And you're not even acknowledging the fact that you're about to fall over from the excessive weight of carrying on everybody else's problems, trying to save them, trying to fix them, trying to make sure they're good, trying to do all these things while you are over here running on E.
so in the spirit of God, what are we really giving people? So we're saying that we are servants of God and we're going out to serve somebody. But if you're saying, and I agree with you 1,000%, that I am pouring from an empty cup because I
Mm-hmm.
am too busy and don't have time in my day to to go back to the Lord and allow my cup to be full,
Mm-hmm.
what are we really giving people? If your cup is truly empty, what you're offering is a facade. What you're offering to people is
Yes.
an illusion, and it's not even the real you. See, this is where healing gets scary, and this is where people start to run from themselves. But one of the things I learned in my own healing journey that in order for me to serve God wholly and fully, I had to bring all parts of myself. I had to bring
Mm-hmm.
all portions of myself. I had to bring the parts of me that I didn't like. I had to bring the parts of me that self-sabotaged in life, right? And like you said, I had to take accountability that I tell people all the time, I wasn't addicted to the drugs and alcohol as much as I was addicted to feeling needed and feeling valuable. I needed to feel valued because in my early childhood years and the things that I've gone through, if you've read my book, Getting to the Root of It, right?
Mm-hmm.
You learn that I didn't feel valued as a child. I felt abandoned. I didn't believe that I was important enough and I was of value to my family system. So I then, for the rest of my life, was constantly seeking that validation from things external of myself. And that
That's
became
good.
and that became a new high for me because to know that if I did something for you, you gave me a compliment or you gave me a hug or you told me for 60 seconds how amazing I was,
Mm-hmm.
moment.
Something inside of you lit up, and you're just like, I need that. I want that. I'm gonna do something else so I can get that. Oh, so let me say, for me, hearing that, it's like when they talk about cocaine and
Mm,
it being an extremely addictive drug, and once people get that high feeling, they want to keep going after it. And people may say, oh, I would never do that. But sugar, on the other hand, is equally as addictive, same white substance, same thing that we crave, and you want it and you get it and you
that's the
go
same thing in
after
the
it in many
brain.
different forms. It's the same thing, but we look at one thing, it destroys the body. It brings in, we may feel like, oh, it's not that bad, but it's something that can be extremely addictive, and it's put into just about everything that you consume. So society, or the people who create these things, know that sugar can
Uh-huh.
become addictive. And
Yes,
so they
ma'am.
put it into everything that you consume. So even unknowingly, you're saying, oh, I'm not, but truly they're feeding you. It's like somebody giving you little doses of cocaine and you think, oh, I didn't know they were giving it to me, or oh my God, I'm addicted to this, not realizing that, yeah, you are. It's the
Because
same type
and
of
I love
thing.
that because people are failing to realize that when you consume things, how it's affecting the mental, how it's
Mhm.
affecting the way the brain is wired. Your brain doesn't make a distinction between sugar in a Coca-Cola and cocaine,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So it doesn't make that distinction. It's what it does to the neurotransmitters in the brain and how it lights up the brain. There's a lot of
Mhm.
similarities. Like energy drinks affects the brain the same way opiates does.
Mm.
So you want to sit here and talk about somebody who's a heroin addict, but you're over here sucking down your energy drinks. You're no different.
Because it's a stimulant. So the same way that you said, if I'm drinking or getting or doing drugs and I'm addicted here, but the stimulant of, I gotta run to the rescue. I gotta make sure they're good. I need to feel validated. Oh, I need them to tell me I'm pretty today. Oh, I need them to tell me great job. We couldn't have did this without you. If you're constantly seeking this external validation, you're doing that because you want everybody to say, oh, you're so great, you're so wonderful, but your nervous system is in crisis. It's all over the place.
Yes, and let me say this because somehow I hear somebody in the audience saying, "Oh, Angela, that's not me. I don't like compliments. I don't need anybody to compliment me. I actually it makes me uncomfortable. I don't really want to, to be seen like that." What
Mm-hmm,
Angela's talking about is not happening on a conscious level, ladies and gentlemen. It's happening on a subconscious level. So you're not going out in the world consciously seeking attention. You're
mm-hmm,
not constantly on a conscious level going out saying, well, if I do this, I'm going to get this. What
mm-hmm,
we're talking about is happening in the unseen. This is
mm,
something that's happening in your subconscious that you are operating from. And so, one of the things I want to touch on today is when we talk about being in denial and how it leads to depression. When you are in denial of the reality of your life, your situations, and the pain in which you are holding on to, over a period of time in your life, that is going to lead to depression. What it
mm-hmm,
does is the every time you feel pain, you experience a feeling, I want you to think of it how you store it in a cabinet. That
mm-hmm,
cabinet, by the way, is your mind, right? So think of everything that's ever happened in your life that you say, "Oh, I'm not dealing with that today," and you put it in the cabinet. And you're
mm-hmm,
stockpiling your emotions in the cabinet. What that does inside your mind is create emotional weight. It creates emotional stress. And for those of you who have been on the show with me since I've been here, have heard me talk about emotional stress, then it sends an alert and a message to the brain that the brain is in harm's way. And when the brain feels threatened, the individual's brain actually goes into survival mode as a means to protect them. Right?
mm-hmm,
So I say this all the time. If I now am emotionally stressed, my brain says that it's being threatened, it's in harm's way because of all of this emotional overload that I'm holding onto, and pretend
mm-hmm,
it doesn't exist. My brain goes into survival mode. That means that I am functioning in the world, follow me carefully, I am functioning in the world, making major life decisions, going to church, going before God, ministering to other people, serving unto others in the survival part of your brain. In the survival part of your brain, there is no logic, there is no reasoning, there is no clear rationale. You are not making healthy decisions. Your brain
mm.
is distorted, and you don't know how to regulate emotion.
Woo,
I told you.
that's heavy. That's heavy. And you know what? It makes me think about, how people say, they're surprised at high functioning individuals because they don't look like what they're going through. There's a difference between, in the Bible, simply said, wow, exactly. There's a difference in the Bible where it says, you don't go out here and fast and make yourself look all broke down and everything for people to ask you questions. You say, oh, well, I'm fasting for God or whatever. That is
Mhm.
a private experience, right?
Right.
This is different because what happens is you look the part, but you're really a dressed up mess because
Mhm.
internally you're operating on autopilot. You're not even recognizing that you know how they say, when you have your cell phone sometimes, it can overheat, you can feel it getting
Mhm.
hot or whatever. It can be dangerous, when you get into situations where you're overloading the capacity of your mind and your body to handle things. I'm gonna go back up to Mrs. Doris's comment. She said, I realized that I allowed my past verbal and mental abuse to stop me from using my voice, and I was scared of speaking up. That freed me once I faced it.
Amen.
A lot of times we go through situations that we push down because we don't want to face it. You've been told many times negative things about yourself that you don't want to deal with. You've experienced things that were traumatic that you don't want to have to deal with. And as you continue to pile, internally, that has to come out some kind of way.
Well, the way that it's going to come out is obsessive, compulsive, impulsive, manipulative. Why? Because these are behavioral instincts when we go into survival mode. See, that's what people fail to realize. We're so quick to sit here and look outside of ourselves and want to judge everybody else,
Mhm.
right? But what we're not realizing is that when you ignore parts of yourself, over time, your brain isn't operating and functioning in a healthy way. Again, you are not thinking from the logical and cognitive part of the brain. You're not thinking from your prefrontal cortex.
Right,
That
right.
means, so when we are instinctual, we are reactive. So if you're operating from the survival part of your brain, you're constantly reacting. That means your brain doesn't press pause to stop and think how you might be feeling or even empathize about how the other person might be feeling. And you're
Hmm.
just going and you're just doing and you're just trying to get quote unquote it done. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not healthy, right? We've got a lot of
Hmm.
people running around in the world that are depressed and pretending that everything is okay. And then 2 days
Hmm.
later, we're reading an obituary on the news or on our social media page.
Right.
And you're like, how did that happen? Because we are not creating a space where people can talk about what's going on with them. And I'm not talking about that there aren't platforms out there. I'm talking within our own family systems. We are
Hmm.
not creating space within our family systems to say, you know what? This is a lot right now. I need to take a minute or I need to take a breath. And
Right.
a lot
Right.
of us have this hyper independence. We develop a hyper independence, and that
Yeah.
again is rooted in unresolved trauma. I hear so
Mm.
many people, and I was guilty of it myself, that used to brag about, oh, I'm Miss Independent. And I used to be proud to call myself Miss Independent.
Oh,
Actually,
I got this. Oh, I'll do it.
yeah,
I don't need anybody else. When
yeah.
you are so hyper into, you're the only one that can make it happen, and you don't allow anyone else to help you. The reality is that's the fear of vulnerability. You don't want to be vulnerable, so you start doing everything yourself because you don't need anybody. You're
Well,
really
that includes God too. See, people
we don't
don't
want to
speak
say
about
that.
it. Yeah, people don't speak about it. But if I am going to step into that mode that I got this and I don't need anyone, then I'm taking the lead. I'm taking control. I don't need your help and I don't need your help. Here's the thing, and I see it with my clients all the time. They're like, Natasha, I pray. That's great. But do you sit long enough to meditate and listen for the Holy Spirit?
Yeah.
And a lot of them will say to you, well, no, as soon as I got done praying, I had to get to work. So, how do you propose and how do you plan to hear what God has to say for you to you if you don't sit long enough to hear the word come back to you?
Hmm. Hmm.
Right? So we're
And
sitting here
sometimes it's
begging
not an
people.
immediate transaction, because we want to put God on the little microwave, oh, let me give you 7 minutes, God. And if I don't get nothing in 7 minutes, I gotta go. I don't have
I
time to
gotta
sit here and wait for the revelation. I mean, what we doing here?
get.
I need this right now. Because the reality is sometimes God needs you to sit with something for a moment in order for it to come to you. It's not that he can't do it quickly, but sometimes you need to marinate on what has been going on, how you've been dealing with it, how, what I'm saying, it has impacted and affected your decision and choices. And sometimes that requires you to put a pause on it. You know how we can say, oh, well, I applied for this job. I'm expecting them to call me back any day now. And it may take 2 weeks, 2 months. It may be on down the line, but we want a response right now. As soon as I leave from the interview, I need y'all to call me when I get in my car and let me know I got the job. I can't be going home waiting to
And
stress
if I
out and
don't get
worry.
that, and if I don't get that phone call, oh man, I'm not getting it. And you're like, and you know this how?
Exactly. See,
It's that instant
Doris,
gratification.
exactly. Doris said becoming her was a process, and my mental health was a big part of it, and I still continue to put it in check.
Your mental health is everything. You cannot truly become her. You truly cannot know your identity and be your authentic self and to serve our high God and serve his purpose without knowing who you are inside and out. It
Right.
has to start with your mental health. This idea that mental health is this thing, this pariah, or this thing I'll get to drives me absolutely crazy, because the same way that I need my heart to be healthy to function, I
Mhm.
need my brain to be healthy to function.
Right.
This concept
Absolutely. And we take it for granted because you know what, Natasha, the reality of life is that people pay attention to diagnosed things. You know what I'm saying?
yep,
You pay attention to, you need to
yep.
walk for your heart health. You need to eat healthy for your heart, or for your, you got to do this because your lungs aren't at capacity, or, you need to do this because you got blood clots or leg issues or whatever. You're constantly, excuse me, doing things to make sure that the physical body is
Mhm.
on point. And you're mindful of things that could attack your physical body. But we don't put the same emphasis on the mental part of ourselves. We
When
ignore
the
that.
when the whole self is mind, body, spirit. And what do we work on? Spirit and body. So forget the mind. Who needs it? Right?
Yeah.
It's
Hey, it'll be all right. It'll catch up.
that is why I'm so passionate about it. And listen, I speak from a place of experience where I grew up. I was telling someone this the other day that I had depression since I was a little girl. But culturally and where I was born and where I came from and ethnicity, all of that stuff were factors that said, you're not depressed, you're just bored. Let me give you something to do. And
Mhm.
I learned at a very young age that staying busy and being overly productive, right, would
Mhm.
take away that feeling. No, what it did was it preoccupied my mind.
Mhm.
All it did was distract me. And again, I always have to put this disclaimer out here. I'm not blaming my parents. I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm saying that's just what I learned.
Right.
I grew up all these years having depression. When I first started using, I started using substances around the age of 17 and a half, 18, just for fun. I was experimenting, wanted to try it out. That very first hit that I had, I was a joint that I smoked. The feeling that I got from that
Mhm.
reminded me of how I used to feel. And I don't want to feel like this anymore. I want to
Mhm.
feel like this.
Mhm.
So my mind says, let's do that again. I'm not hurting anybody, right?
Right.
And I wasn't doing it all the time. And I say this all the time, we are not born addicted. We have a predisposition to be addicted to things, but there are a lot of psychological factors and environmental factors that lead into this issue. And need
Right.
I remind everybody that what we're talking about today, this need to be seen, this need to be understood, this need to be validated by the outside world, that is an addiction. We get addicted
Mhm.
to that. You want to say you're not a drug addict, alcoholic, codependent, that's fine. And I'm not here to diagnose anybody. I'm not here to put labels on anyone. What I want people to see is that there are a lot of things going on beneath the surface within yourself that requires healing. And if you truly
Yes.
want to serve God and you want to serve Him at your highest self, you have to be willing to slow down. You know, when people tell me, well, Natasha, I really want to work with you, but I don't have the time and money. And I said, if you gathered up the money that you would spend in miscellaneous things, you
Mm-hmm.
would be able to invest in yourself. And what I've come to find is a lot of, because I primarily work with women, don't want to invest in themselves. It's easier to invest in everybody else because of the quick fix. Well,
Yes.
why
And
invest
you
in
can
you
see
if
it
I'm
in everybody else. You can pinpoint somebody else and say, oh, something wrong with her. Oh girl, she's avoiding it. I know she hurt behind that situation. I know she's traumatized behind that. And we can rally around and do interventions for Sally because Sally needs, us to step in and help her because of X, Y, and Z,
mm-hmm.
but we don't have the same compassion and grace and understanding for our own selves. We figure that, oh, I'm just kind of going through something right now, but I'll be okay. Or, we want to, get into, when they say burnout at work, or, you're constantly exhausted and you don't understand it's because you're always allowing other people to dump their mess on you, but you want to go in and save the day, or you're chasing success. You're doing something that,
You're choosing potential over peace. You would rather want to see the potential in somebody. You want to
yes,
see like, oh, I can help them get through
yes,
this. I can
yes.
help them with this, rather than recognizing it doesn't belong in your hula hoop. That ain't your business, right? I mean, that's what I say to people all the time.
Don't look. What you say, baby? It's going round and round.
Yeah,
Now it's got to go around you, around them, around your problems, around their problems, around some other stuff that's coming in, trying to get in. And the hoop is like, listen, I was only built
for you,
to go
just for
around
you.
this. You done added extra stress on me, and now you stuck inside the hula hoop because you filled it to where it no longer can go around and around. Now it's just sitting there,
Uh-huh. And the
being
best part about
restricted.
that is we get to decide if we want things out of that hula hoop or not. But you're so much focused on the potential of other people and how you can help other people rather than realizing that you need peace. People
Yeah.
people say I want peace, people say I want certain things, but they don't take the time and effort to protect their peace, right? I've learned today in my journey that I learned what belongs in my hula hoop and what
Mm-hmm.
doesn't belong in my hula hoop. And in my hula hoop
Mm-hmm.
stands only me, my thoughts, regulating my emotions, and managing and being responsible for the way that I react to myself and to other people. Everything else, and I've got kids and they're grown, they're not minors, so please don't come for me. But my adult kids, they take care of themselves. And when they have problems, I don't jump out of my hula hoop to solve their problems. My kids have a voice, and if they need something, they come toward my hula hoop and they ask for help. And if I'm in a position to help them, I will. And if I'm not in a position to help them, guess what? They have a support system. They have resources. They have other people that they can go to. So I don't have to carry the world on my shoulders anymore. Why? Because my peace is of value to me. My
Uh-huh.
emotions are of value to me. I am of value to me. And I'm
Uh-huh.
worthy of taking time out in a 24-hour day to take care of me, mind, body, spirit, right?
And allow
So,
other people the opportunity to do the same for themselves. We jump and run to the rescue because we feel guilty, we feel obligated, we feel whatever it is. You're wanting to go and feel whatever that feeling is that's released when you go and somebody says, "Oh my God, I don't know what I would have done without you." But the reality is, in bailing everybody else out, you do a disservice for yourself, but you do a disservice for them too because they have to learn. It's like how you talk about a baby, and they say, okay, you get the baby's fed, the pampers dry, you've laid them down, and they keep crying. They want you to come and pick them up and soothe them. But at some point, the baby has to learn that you got to go
gotta
to sleep, and
self-soothe.
I need you to self-regulate and
Absolutely.
understand that you can calm yourself down and you can go get yourself together and you're going to go to sleep without me always having to run and get you. run and get you, run and
And I
get
want
you.
you to, I want the audience to hear what you just said, because in that moment when that child over time learns to self-soothe, that actually empowers the child, that actually increases the child's self-esteem. It breeds security and safety within the child to know, like, okay, they're out there, I'm okay, and I can go to sleep and everything's going to be all right. Right? If you're
Hmm.
constantly stepping in, you are non-verbally telling that child that you have to be their sense of security.
Oh, that's so
And that's where
good because we
and
teach
that's where
people that. We teach
and that's
people.
so when you think about dependency, that's where dependency starts. It's not in the drug. I'm actually depending on you because you have taught me that you're the only one that can provide safety and security for me, and without you I am not going to survive in this world. So the minute that you're not around, the minute that you're not able to provide safety and security, imagine what that child is feeling. And if that child feeling lost and confused and don't have any other healthy coping skills, that child is going to go out into the world and find someone or something to fill that void, right?
Oh, that's a whole nother. That's how what because you know what, Natasha, we don't tend to equate all of that together.
Nope.
You know, in that we're thinking, oh, but I don't want the baby to cry. I
Hmm.
just want to make sure they're okay. If they're fed, if they're dry, and if you have been providing emotional, wellness, and you are, it's a happy baby, then it's okay, really.
It's
Or
healthy for
even
them
like
to
you
cry.
just said, if your grown children come to you and approach your hula hoop and you don't have the resources or the whatever, or you tell them where they can go, that empowers them to know that, okay, let me start thinking of how to get out of the situation versus,
Critical
hey,
thinking
this
skills.
happened, I'm panicking, hey, this happened, oh, let me take care of it, hey, this is going on, oh, I got you.
Mhm.
We're so quick to just jump in, but what happens is you breed a society of people who don't know how to handle situations. And the
Well,
reality is life is going to happen, situations are going to occur. You
because
can't
what you
always
just
be there.
because what you're describing as that overly functioning, high performing individual, you said just now how you're crippling the other person. Ladies and gentlemen, you're crippling the individual's inability to use the logical part of their brain. Their critical thinking skills, their executive functioning skills are on the decline because you're not giving them the opportunity to think for themselves. This is why when we experience death and our loss and our separation, why people have such a difficult time with it. And you hear a lot of, I have a couple clients who say, I stopped functioning in life when I lost my mother. We were so close. My mother was everything to me. My mother did X, Y, and Z, that now my mother's gone and I don't know how to live life. Now, somebody on the outside who doesn't understand that may want to pass judgment on that. But when
Mhm.
a mother has been so protective of her young and has not taught her young on how to live, not survive, but how to live in the wilderness or how to live in the world,
Right.
she is gone. That child is left barren, they're left lost, and they're left confused. Now, let's bring God into that equation, right? God is here to remind us that He will walk with us in the wilderness, right? But
Uh-huh.
we also have to trust in God that He's going to be there. Now, this is where this conversation is going to get a little tricky because a lot of people are going to say to me, oh, I trust in God. You
Uh-huh.
cannot possibly be truly, genuinely, authentically trusting God when you are hiding from your true self. Right? I'm going to drop that mic right there. And I know I'm probably going to hurt a lot of people's feelings. You cannot honestly and genuinely say that I am trusting in God when you are in denial and you are unwilling to look at your pain.
Oh,
The only way that God's going to be able to heal that pain and suffering, you have to be able to be aware of it to bring it to Him. And if you're avoiding it, then what are we really doing?
because you know what, Natasha, the crazy thing is everybody's impressed with you, but you're disconnected from yourself.
Correct.
You can be connected to everything else in here. Everybody's like, oh my God, they have it going on. but yet you don't tap into your own needs, your own thing that's going to make sure that you're good, that you're getting your proper rest, that you're not overwhelmed, that you're not, going through depression or anxiety and failing to deal with that. You're just pushing past it.
Well, the reason why we're pushing past it, I'm going to list a few things of why we push past it and why we don't even give it a second thought, because we normalize burnout. We live in society today. Everybody's like, yeah, oh, girl, I'm just so exhausted. I'm just so burnt out. And I ain't got time for this. And I ain't got time for that. And we just now, this becomes a daily conversation,
Mhm.
right? We call being exhausted ambitious. Girl, I'm out
Mm,
here grinding. Girl, I'm out here hustling. Girl, I'm trying to get it done. As a CEO of my company and as a business owner, I am not grinding and hustling. There is no need, because I trust the God of my understanding. He's actually
yes.
the CEO of my company. He
Mm-hmm.
created this business, and it is going to be just exactly what it needs to be, right? And
Absolutely.
it's going to have all of the wealth that it needs because it's in God's hands, not Natasha's hands, right?
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
chase success to avoid self. So again, let me stay busy. Let me open ten businesses. Let me do all these other extra things so I don't have to sit with myself. But here's the thing, right? There are 24 hours in a day. There's going to come a point in time when you're going to have to sit on the toilet, or you're going to end up somewhere alone for 60
Mhm.
seconds. And all those things that you were trying to avoid are going to hit you like a freight train.
Mm.
And then what happens then? Right? Because I'll tell you, for me, what happens is when I've avoided it for that long and it comes all at once, it's so overwhelming, it becomes paralyzing. I woke
Yeah.
up one morning where I was so depressed. My brain was telling me I needed to get out of the bed. I physically could not move.
Mm.
Physically could not move. It was one of the most scariest moments of my life.
Wow.
And I'll tell you why it needed to happen. I never wanted to take medications. When I got sober, I was like, I'm not taking any kind of pills. The pills are for the birds, and I don't need pills, and da 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 da.
Right.
And when that happened, oh, your girl made sure when she was able to get off that bed, the doctor was the first person I was calling to go,
Yes.
because I didn't want that feeling. Because when I tell you, I felt alert in my mind, and my mind is saying, get up, you got to go to work, you got to do.
Mhm.
And no matter what I try to convince myself to do, my body was not following. That is how
Mm.
paralyzing depression can be. And I don't understand for the life of me why so many of us are ignoring ourselves and ignoring the signs and waiting for something to happen. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the thing that you're waiting to happen, you might not come back from,
Wow. And
right?
that's so serious. I mean, you know what I'm saying? The reality is ignoring yourself, ignoring the red flags, because we talk about red flags and identifying them with other people,
Hmm.
but do you know them for yourself? Do you know when you're burnt out? Do you know when you're booked and busy, but you're broken behind it?
Hmm.
Do you know when you're pretty and powerful, but you're pretending that everything is okay behind it? Do you know that you're successful, but you're behind closed doors, you're suffering?
Hmm.
When are we going to acknowledge us as a person? Do you know you're out here hustling, but you're not healing?
Hmm.
There's a cost to being her, to becoming her. Are we willing to get to the root of it, as you say, so that we can truly enjoy the fruits of what we do? Or are we going to just, pretend it away and say, oh, it'll go away eventually. Oh, it'll be all right. Because it's sort of like, when they give you, you have something, say you have the flu or whatever, and they give you medication, and you take it the first day, and then you're like, oh, I feel better. I don't have to take any more of that.
Stop taking it.
I'm gonna stop taking it. But you haven't really healed. You just masked some symptoms that made you
Uh,
gloss over to think you're okay. And then you go back and then you wonder why 3 or 4 days later or a week or two later, you feel like a ton of bricks is sitting on your chest and you can barely breathe and you're running a fever and all that because you didn't really handle the situation. You
and
just
then
kind of
you go, those antibiotics didn't work.
because you decided to take them one day. You didn't need them to take you to the bottle was empty. You was like, oh, I'm good. Oh, I feel better today. Let me go on and do what I got to do. Yeah, that
Yeah,
part.
and let me be
Wow,
clear.
exactly. So good.
I only laugh and chuckle. I'm not laughing and chuckling at anybody. I laugh and chuckle because, I used to be that person. Everything that Angela is saying, I was that person. That's why my addiction got as bad as it did. That's why it wasn't just about drinking. It wasn't just about food. It wasn't just about sex. It was anything I can get my hand on to feel better was just a instant gratification. So I didn't have to deal with my pain and suffering.
Mm,
But when I finally surrendered to God, He says, I need you to put everything else down and I
mhm.
need you to look in the mirror and I need you to face your pain, right? He needed me to see myself for who I really was, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything different, indifferent, and be able to take that to Him so He can show me what He can do in me, right? And show me how He can turn me around and create the person that He had destined for me to be. So this whole idea of ignoring your feelings and making sure you're meeting other people's needs first, and this concept of I don't need rest right now, I'll rest later. Who are you really doing that for? Because coming back to the whole, pouring from your cup is empty. Your
Right.
cup doesn't even have a
Look,
drop.
you turn down, nothing's coming out. The joke is dry.
Correct, like bone dry, right?
Yes.
So we really have to recognize that this is going to sound hurtful, but it's delusional thinking. And that delusional thinking is a
Mm,
symptom of depression, right?
yeah.
The over
Yeah.
functioning, the overperforming, that actually is a symptom of depression. See, everybody thinks depression is about the isolation and withdrawal, and that is, but you also have it on the other side of the spectrum, right? And what happens is after exhausting yourself from overly giving, overly functioning, overly performing, you're going to go from one extreme to the next where you go into withdrawal and you go into isolation and you don't
Yeah.
want to talk to anybody, you don't want to see anybody, you just want
Mm-hmm.
to be left alone. And I'm going to tell you
Exactly.
my personal experience, that is not a place that you want to be, because when you get there, a lot of people will say, well, the enemy's on attack, and I have no qualms about the enemy possibly attacking us, but you have to also understand how you got here. You
Yeah.
didn't get
Yeah.
here by happenstance, right?
Right.
You had
Right.
been out here paying attention to everyone and everything and not paying attention to yourself, and you slid down a very slippery slope,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
I hope that today's conversation awakens us, and you share this with your friends, you share this with your families, you just share it out on your social media page, because I think there's too many of us that are walking around in the world that are thinking that hiding our emotions or operating without emotion is healthy, and in reality you're not really living, you are
Uh-huh.
surviving,
Absolutely. And,
right?
and have the conversations, because the reality is your feelings are valid. Your feelings are your feelings. What has happened to you in your life is what has happened to you. And sometimes it requires conversations. And once you release it, it gives you an opportunity to start healing and start dealing with whatever it is that has caused you to be in anxiety or caused you to, experience depression. But when you don't deal with it, you can't heal from what you don't reveal. You got to be able to tap into something or talk to someone who you can share these things with so that it no longer holds you hostage. Because the reality is, when you're dealing with a lot of emotional distress, that's a heavy feeling. Like it feels like something is on your chest. Like when you downplay how you feel, when you don't talk about it, when you keep on going like an energizer bunny, but at the same time, there's something just sitting here that needs to be dealt with. That not only is an emotional burden, but it's heavy on your body, and it will come out in other ways physically if you don't handle it.
Agreed. And I want to give everybody a gift on the other side of what Angela's talking about, handling it. There's emotional freedom on the other side of that. Because I'm sure there's somebody out there saying, well, why do I need to look at that? And why do I need to face that? And why do I need to feel that? So you don't have the emotional burden anymore. Let me tell you, emotional freedom, you can't put a price tag on it. You
Cannot.
cannot put a price tag on emotional freedom, because I get to walk freely. I get to trust and walk in faith and just let God lead my life. I don't need to control. You know why I don't need to control anymore? Because I don't carry fear. I don't carry fear. I don't carry worry. I posted yesterday on social media to be a warrior, not a worrier, because there's a
Oh,
difference,
there's a
right?
difference.
And
There's a
I
difference.
can be a warrior for God because I no longer need to worry, because everything that I need to live in this world, my God will provide for me. How do I know that? Because I have learned to let go of my past. I've learned that my past does not define me. I learned that my worth and value isn't in the things that I do, but in the God that I serve. And there's a huge difference in knowing your worth and where your worth lies. So we hope today that the information and the education, it brings not just a level of an awareness in each of you, but awakens something in you that says there's work to be done here. I'm no longer
Mhm.
going to hide from myself. God loves me. And today I'm going to show myself how much I love myself by being willing to look at the parts of me that is still hurting and needs healing.
Amen to that. Do it for you. That's the message. Do it for you. Heal for real. Get to a place where you enjoy waking up in the morning. You're grateful that God woke you up, and recognize when you need rest, and know that it's not weakness to say I need to rest. It's not weak to say I need to put me first. It's not weak to say I need to make sure that I'm good before I'm out here trying to make sure everybody else is good. In actuality, that is really honoring God when you honor yourself. So
Amen.
let's normalize. Go ahead.
Let
What
me
you
let me
got?
chime in really quickly if I could. So what you just said, if taking care of me, mind, body, and spirit is honoring God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't take care of me, mind, body, and spirit, then what am I teaching the people that I'm serving?
That part.
Right? What am
That
I
part.
teaching people? I'm now teaching the next generation or anybody that I serve that taking care of yourself is not important. Taking care of yourself, not a value. So now the person that you're serving, they start to heal and they rise. But here,
Mm-hmm.
now what? They're going to stop taking care of themselves because you just taught them that taking care of you is not of worth and not of value. So now we
Exactly.
just create this pattern of people that are not honoring God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to leave that there for today.
I'm gonna look. She's gonna drop the mic right there. This is such a an empowering conversation, because we do need to understand that you matter.
Mhm.
You matter not just in physical health, not just in your spiritual, but even in your mental, because God
Right.
created all three. And so you want to make sure that it all is in alignment. Miss Phyllis said that's deep, Natasha. And it's something to think about, because a lot of times we gloss over all of that for the sake of saying, we're out here doing and serving and being and helping other people and making a difference and being the change we want to see. While behind closed doors,
We're not.
we're depleted, we're drained, we're suffering, we're struggling, we are not at peace.
And that's not what
And
God has called us for. He didn't call us
he
to be
did
in the suffering and the struggling and the depression and the anxiety and
exactly,
it's not that's not how he's asking you to show up for him, right?
exactly.
I know this was a heavy conversation today, but it's a
Yeah.
much needed conversation. And I pray that we
Yes.
spread the word because I think there's so many people out there in the world, young and old and everything in between, that needs to hear this and know that we love you. And I
Yes.
agree with Angela that you matter.
Yes.
You are worth it. You are of value. And in order to truly go out there and to serve our King, in order to serve the God of our understanding, you have got to learn on how to receive his unconditional love. You've got to understand that your mind and body and spirit must be taken care of so
Yes.
that you can be strong in all areas of self, so that you can truly go out and know when to serve, how to serve, and be able to come back and still take time to get your rest. Right? I tell
Yes.
people all the time, Jesus always took time to rest.
He did.
And he
He
always
did.
took time to go into solitude to talk
Mm,
to God.
he
And
did.
if Jesus could take time to go talk to God and Jesus could take time for rest, why can't we? Where
Why can't
in
we?
the word did it say that we weren't supposed to? Right?
Even God said on the seventh day he rested. Miss Phyllis said, "Love it, being real with yourself through God."
Amen.
That is a great
Where it's at.
summation. Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, we came back hard. We came back deep. We came back
Fierce.
strong. But the thing about it is, the mission is to heal for real. And we want to make sure that on our watch, we are giving you what you need, the tools and the thought processes and the
Mhm.
strategies for you to do that. And if you know somebody else who needs to have it, share it with them, because everybody sometimes may feel like Natasha said, you don't want to invest the money into yourself. This is a free platform and a free program. Maybe you start here with getting it into your mind that you need to do something differently than to be operating outside of peace. Protect your peace at all costs and develop the relationship with God so that you know how to do what you need to do. Miss Patricia said, we need this. Thank you all so much for being here. And listen, the thing here, some women don't need another planner. They need a nervous system reset. That's compliments of Natasha, y'all. Let that get in your spirit, right? Right? Let that get in your spirit. Listen, come on back. We will be here tomorrow. We are back from hiatus. So you all, I believe our girl, Dr. Sparkle, will be here with us tomorrow. So make sure you tune in 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we are on the Empowered Morning Show. And then join me tonight. I got a new author. Humble Pressure will be with me tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 Central Standard Time, as we do the Becoming Her series. I'm telling y'all, we are doing big
I
things here and we are putting it out there because we want to see everybody win. It's not just us, but we want to see everybody win. Natasha, thank you for an enlightening conversation. We appreciate it. Y'all have a great day, because what? I believe God. Do you believe God? I ain't doing it like Dr. Sparkle, but hey, listen, we believe God over here. Do you hear me? So you believe God too. Y'all have an amazing day, and we will see you on Winning Wednesday.
everyone.
Bye.